George, roll call, please.
The date is June 19, 2014. The time is 6:33 p.m. Rick Charette,
Present.
Rob Collins,
Here.
Gary Ciccarone,
Excuse.
Jim Freeman,
Here.
Ed Comeau,
Here.
David Champion II,
Present.
Rich Zacher,
Here.
Richard Peckham,
Here.
John Merrigan. One regular planning board member is absent.
Will you sit for Gary? Sit.
Sure.
It will sit for Gary, Judge. Public comments? Correspondence? We got a memorandum from OEP, just updating their records in database survey. And it asks a bunch of questions pertaining to what we have in town as far as member of RPC, planning board, elected, etc. It goes through a bunch of things here. George filled this out for us, and I looked it over. Everything looks to be in order. If anybody wants to take a look at this, I'll leave it right here. Other than that, we'll have George send it off. Notice of decision approval. This was George Allen, Mary McCullough subdivision. This was dated October 23rd, but it was finished off October 10th when all we had to do was get the placement of the monuments on the subdivision, and that happened. So this is complete. I'm going to sign 4 copies for George. This will be done. I'm going to do that right now. You got today's date, Judge? Some emails here. Stratford Regional Planning, invited to a planning law review, June 25th, 2014. A reminder of a public workshop, again from Stratford Regional Planning Commission, June 25th, 2014. Visualizing Density in New Hampshire programs, June 26th, Red River Theater, Concord. Keynote speaker, Howard Mansfield. His newest book, Wellington Possibility, will be available for sale, and he will sign it. Stratford Regional Planning, weekly update. OEP will hold 6 public meetings on the draft state energy strategy. The dates are here. Stratford Regional Planning, Wednesday, June 25th, planning law review. Anyone interested is right here now, and they'll be in the room after. Review of possible approval of minutes from May 15th. Everybody has a copy? Please look them over.
Mr. Chairman, Roman numeral 2, item A, my name has a S on the end.
Yes, it does. Not here it does, though. Okay, the minutes. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes for May 15th, 2014 as amended.
Second.
Okay, just, someone smarter than me. We move, we accept, and then we discuss?
No, we move, we get, so somebody makes a motion,
Yep.
and if there's a second,
Yep.
then you have a discussion. And when you feel like the discussion has run its course, you can then call for a vote. And then you would ask for yeses, nos, and abstentions. And
Okay.
then declare the outcome.
We open for discussion, I just want to understand, motion 2. Section 7, motion 2, new business. Acting Chairman Rob Collins moved that the planning board insert the following into 3.2 of the rules of procedure after pursuant to RSA 673. When a member position becomes vacant, the chair shall announce the vacancy during the meeting. The vacancy shall not be filled prior to 1 week following the announcement.
The motion was amended later. Number 2.
Yep. Then Gary moved that the motion be amended to replacing prior 1 week until the next regularly scheduled meeting of the planning board. So everyone feels that we should just, when one seat is vacated, we should chill for a month and appoint another member at the next meeting?
That was the intent. So the idea being that then everyone knows that there's a vacancy. If somebody from the community wanted to be considered, they'd have an opportunity to find out about it and contact the planning board. You know, when David, you know, came on board with the resignation a couple months ago, I think most people on the board didn't know it was happening. Certainly, I would think most people in the public didn't know. And we have alternates, right? So even if I personally don't think there's a rush to fill the seat, especially if we've got alternates.
Right.
So that was the intent of that change to the rules of procedure.
Yeah,
It's just to slow things down a little bit.
We did discuss lengthily, the center of the discussion was basically around public notification and assuring that the public has an input on the representation of this board.
Are alternates here can they be appointed to the open seat, or?
For that meeting, yeah, on a meeting-by-meeting basis, yeah. So just like Dick is sitting on tonight, if Gary had resigned instead of just not being here tonight,
Right.
Dick could sit in his place. We would have to make Dick a full board member, you know, right away. I mean, the board would continue to operate just fine. And even if we didn't have an alternate, you know, working with 6 people instead of 7 is, you know, it happens sometimes and it's okay.
Okay, is the seat offered to the alternates before the public, or does everybody come in that wants the planning job bid for it
Well, our rules
at
of
the same
procedure,
time?
I think our rules of procedure don't say, but I personally think that we as a board should take putting somebody on the board seriously. It's an elected position, normally elected by
Right.
the voters. And we should make sure that that is transparent, things are transparent, doesn't look like there's any shenanigans going on. Let people from the public that might be interested express that interest. It's still our call as far as if we fill that position and who we fill it with.
So should this include posting the vacancy? Putting it on a notice within a week?
So I think we talked about
Or
that.
does everything happen at the next meeting?
I think that if somebody's watching what the planning board is doing, it'll be in the minutes,
Yep,
right? Because you would have made the announcement.
yes,
It'll be in those minutes. Those minutes are available 5 days after the meeting.
right.
We talked about whether we should advertise, and I think that the consensus last week was that we don't necessarily want to spend the money advertising a position and things like that, but we certainly could if we wanted to. Whether or not it's in our rules of procedure, that would be up to the board, I guess, at the time.
I know we discussed on putting it into the agenda, probably under new business would be the most appropriate place.
I just want the public to see that there's a vacancy, even if it's just on the boards.
Yeah, well, I think that the board or the chairman certainly has the opportunity to do that, even if the rules of procedure don't say they have to. If we want the rules of procedure to say that we should do that, then we should amend it.
I think we should amend it. I agree with the amendment until the next regularly scheduled meeting, but back to your prior to 1 week, it should be posted on the town boards that there's a vacancy. It doesn't have to go to the paper or anything, does it?
Well, it could be added to the agenda. The agenda has to be, or should be posted 72 hours, 24 hours in advance, so that could be the posting.
I just wanted to say, so if it's going to say we're going to wait to the next meeting to appoint, it should also say something that there'll be a notification. Be in the, on the agenda or what. We should spell it out so nobody forgets.
Was that under discussion last meeting, or was it there?
That was on this.
Yeah, we discussed everything from saying nothing to publishing it in newspapers, and, I think that we got tired of talking about it, and so we sort of left it.
I mean, it would be hopefully a rare occurrence
Yeah,
How much would it actually cost just to post it in the newspaper? I mean, if it's that important, it's in the rules of procedure, just to post it in the newspaper shouldn't be that expensive.
$100.
How rare is it going to be that that happens?
That's happened twice since I've been involved with the board.
I've seen it once.
Is $200 or $100 okay to spend for transparency?
Well,
I don't think it's a money issue, but it's a local thing. It's just, I think it should say that it should be put on the agenda and posted on the agenda. And
that costs nothing.
and when is the agenda posted, Josh?
Minimum 72 hours in advance.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Mr. Chairman, there is 67312 filling vacancies in membership.
Yeah.
It clearly goes through the procedures on filling vacancies for appointed alternate and alternate members of the board.
Is that just that piece there? You want to read it out?
Yes.
Did you guys, before I wasn't here, did you guys read this out?
I don't think we do.
Okay, it says vacancies of membership of the local land use board occurring other than through the expiration of term of office shall be filled as follows. Paragraph 1, for an elected member by appointment by the remaining board members until the next regular municipal election, at which time the successor shall be elected to either fill the unexpired term or start a new term as appropriate. Paragraph 2, for an appointed ex officio, the alternate member by the original appointing or designated authority for an unexpected term. Paragraph 3, the chairperson of the local land use board may designate an alternate member of the board to fill the vacancy temporarily until the vacancy is filled in the manner set forth in paragraph 1 or 2. If the vacancy is for the ex officio member, the chairperson may only designate the person who has been appointed to serve as an alternate for the ex officio member. And then it goes on, notice for decision. Filing a vacancy for an elected member. Under the statute which provided for the filing of a vacancy for an elected member of the planning board by selectmen until the next election, the town's election ballot notified the voters of 3 openings on the planning board, but did not mention the 4th opening. A vacancy on the board existed, and the selectmen properly made an appointment to fill the vacancy. So it covers vacancies within the members.
And to recap,
Okay. So are we tightening this up? Are we tightening up the, what David just read?
Yeah, that RSA gives us the authority to, if we choose to fill that vacancy until the next election.
And that's
I just-
by having the alternate.
We do have.
Well, you as the chairman can have an alternate fill-in, or we as the board can, you have an alternate fill-in until we fill the vacancy, we as a board fill the vacancy. We as a board can fill the vacancy, doesn't say anything about notice or anything, right? It's just, it doesn't give a lot of guidance there. And what we're doing here is basically saying we want to make sure that we're transparent, make sure that nobody's caught by surprise.
So
And-
fill in the vacancy in the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. No, we don't have to bother with notices or anything.
We, as any other subdivision of any ruling body, we have the authority to go beyond the statutes in the RSA. We have to be at least as stringent as the governing RSAs, but we can elaborate and expand upon that at our discretion.
That's why I asked Rob if this is tightening it up, and it is. It's just adding that we wait till the next meeting to fill the vacancy for the remainder of the term.
Yes.
I think it's satisfactory. The motion was second.
Yes.
Any more discussion?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, so we're voting on the minutes?
Yes. Yes. As they stand.
As amended.
Yes.
Amended was the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, wasn't here.
Abstain. Opposed? The minutes. Change that S, George?
Yes, I know that. Thank you. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. You guys were busy last week.
That's what we want.
New business, we got two things on the new business. The first one is identifying persons and groups who are responsible for assets that affect CIP projections. What we want to do is compile a list. I'd like to get this done tonight as to who would get notification to give us information on CIP. And we'll put a simple letter to request the information and figure out when we want this information by. Then we'll send the letters to these people so we can get information back to build CIP projections. So I'd like to do that now.
Sounds good. So, Mr. Chairman, the RSA actually is on our side here. This is, and we maybe should reference it in the letter.
Okay.
So this is RSA 674:7, Roman numeral 2. And it reads, whenever, in part, I won't read the whole thing, whenever the planning board of the Capital Improvement Program Committee is authorized and directed to prepare a capital improvement program, every municipal department, authority, or agency, and every affected school district, board, department, or agency shall, upon request of the planning board or the Capital Improvement Program Committee, transmit to the board or committee a statement of all capital projects it proposes to undertake during the term of the program. So the RSA say they shall do it. That means they don't have a choice.
Right.
So
That's exactly what we want.
right. So they can ignore us, but at least we have the law on our side.
Okay, we just want some input. Who's going to get these letters? I think, who owns these buildings?
Selectmen.
You get the letter.
Roads.
Roads would be road agent?
Committee, I think.
No,
We don't have a road
we've
committee.
submitted one report for the capital improvement plan from the selection. And we have no feedback on that, so I'm assuming that's adequate.
When did you submit it?
8 months ago, no, I guess it was last December, last November, December.
We're starting fresh here. Nothing's.
Oh, we are, okay.
We just,
You have a
there's
copy
a
of it?
lot of
Well, I have a
stuff.
copy of it, you'll get it, you'll get
There's a
the
lot of
same.
stuff's been done and a lot of stuff's been
Okay,
brushed aside and in files and everything. We just
okay.
start it up and get it done. So you get a letter.
Okay.
It's gonna be official too. Does anyone believe that we should give letters to commissions?
For example,
Heritage Commission, Agriculture Commission?
Yes.
take the input.
You know, a bunch of them might have nothing,
Right,
and that's good. I mean, it's easy for them to say nothing, and
it's
And-
inclusive.
we'll know. We'll know that they're not planning anything.
Well, you'll have them on record.
Yes.
You had your chance. Conservation Commission should be on there. Forest Fire Warden should be on there.
Which one?
Forest Fire Warden.
Cemetery trustees. Are you guys covering the road committee? Or you want the road committee?
I guess we're the road committee, selectmen of the road committee.
Okay, so you're to be buildings and roads.
Do we have a road committee
Not
again?
anymore.
Just selectmen covers road committee.
Yes.
Does, how about assessors, clerk, secretary, any of these Are these considered departments?
Their departments, I don't know what they would be purchasing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we're including not only assessments but also projections, that might be one of the things that the planning board might want to consider as far as input.
Assessors?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, maybe assessors, maybe some of the other secretaries, but as far as projections, I'm just saying.
We're talking, remember, we're talking capital improvements.
You know, if we spam the whole town with this, we're probably gonna hit some targets, right?
Well, remember what a capital improvement is.
Yes.
That's the purchase of something that is physical and, well, we haven't
Purchase
defined.
of, purchase
Also
of maintenance,
replacement
right?
units.
It's not, I wouldn't say, well, maintenance could be, but it can't be, we have to define what we're looking for next.
Okay,
So put down the departments, we can put the departments, and maybe we'll exclude them when we define what we're looking for.
okay, so the departments would be,
Assessor, town clerk, tax collector. Planning board, they have to have input too.
what? We don't have anything.
Neither does the town clerk.
Well,
But if
right.
we put it in the plan, we might.
Touche, yeah, planning board.
I think the planning board needs a big truck.
Checklist,
Yeah, we need a planning board tractor that we could.
voters checklist, sometimes they have to get a new computer.
So things like voting booths and stuff like that.
CBA?
Well, we got a
Along with
plan,
the moderator.
Oh, moderator.
Yeah, voting booths or whatever.
but we have to talk about what we're looking for.
Okay, yeah.
Do you guys own the bulletin boards and signs and stuff?
It most certainly do.
No, do you guys, to selectmen?
Yes.
That's,
Selectmen on everything. If the town has an asset, the selectmen on it.
The selectmen don't own anything.
but there's not a department
They're
that,
students.
that's not, those aren't road committees.
It's true. That's right. He's right.
Zoning board? Do they, the planning board's getting one.
Give it to him.
Sure, CBA.
So I read back what I heard. Selectmen, Heritage Commission, Agriculture Commission, Conservation Commission, Fire Warden, Cemetery Trustees, Assessor, Clerk, Tax Collector, Planning Board, Voters Checklist, Moderator, CBA.
Okay, I think you need at least two more things. The time frame we're talking about, next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever that might be.
Right?
And is there a cutoff on expenditures? You want $20? Everything $20? No, you don't want $20? You want $5,000? You want $10,000?
Or above.
We should put that in the letter.
I don't think we need a cutoff or amount parameter, because this is all gonna go to the selectmen anyway. You guys gonna sort it out.
No, you're gonna put together the plan. So
Right.
then you're gonna have to filter out whether you want $10 items in there or $5,000 items in there. Planning board puts together the plan and presents it.
Right.
So to help the people put together their input, do you want to cut off, only include items greater than $10 in the plan?
No, no freebies, just,
So,
So let's do them well.
ask them what they need.
So from a accounting perspective, most of the time, those small purchases are considered expenses.
Okay.
You know, you're not gonna say this is, that this book is a capital item and we're gonna depreciate it over, 3 years or something like that.
Yes,
right?
and we had some discussion that computers weren't capital items and things like that, a few $100s is,
So I think
Expense.
that to keep everyone sane, we need to set a floor. And I would say fairly high, so that we're dealing with less stuff, just deal with the big stuff. And whether that's 5,000 or 1,000, I don't know, but it should be I think it should be in that range. Otherwise, we're gonna be asking people to think about, with computers and printers,
right,
a filing cabinet or whatever, and it makes it a lot more work for them it means it's a lot more stuff for us to sort through.
I agree. I think it should be serious improvements, or serious expenditures,
Capital,
capital
we should maybe look at the definition of what capital is.
stuff.
Yeah, physical stuff, it might even define it.
Yeah, I don't know, I'll look and see if I can see it in the RSA's here.
How about emergency management?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, because they're probably a
They own
bunch of cots
a
and,
bunch of stuff, maybe even radios eventually. And the archives.
And all this is going to bring up a lot of things that we don't expect. Like you said, with emergency management, there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to want to put into that.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the community. Putting a floor on it would definitely
That's
eliminate
good,
a
because-
ton of minutia.
We don't know what's out there right now. That's what we're doing. We might have some surprises.
You don't want to find out who's an emergency.
That's right. And the stuff hits the fan, it's not.
so we're gonna ask them for a list of existing capital, existing assets, and a plan for maintenance and replacement and purchase of new stuff?
Yes, over the next, how long we put this out for? Is this 10 years?
674:5 says at least 6 years.
Let's do 6 years. That'll shorten it as well. And we won't have stuff that grows old on it. Does anyone think it should be longer? 10 years?
Oh, 10 years might be a good idea, but what we have to think of is including it, because there are some items that may be 10 years, maybe 15 or 20, that wouldn't be in that 6-year timeframe. And we might want to put this on an annual or biannual basis, so we can continually update the capital improvement program.
Well, I think we gotta redo this every period of time.
Yeah, and set forth a precedent for what we're looking for as far as reaction from them. We've had so little reaction that we should make sure they know we're expecting you to report to us every year, 2 years,
Yes,
5
sir.
years
Yes, sir.
of what you're looking for.
I feel like we're starting this out,
It's a definite wonderful.
keep going.
The intent is that we would update this at least annually. I think that's what the RSA's expect, that every year in preparation for giving these guys to do their budget, we would update it with, and then, be going out one further year and picking up any new projects and updating costs of this, estimate costs of things and things like that.
I'm just swagging on this, but I'm thinking 6 years is enough, because we don't have a lot of items that are big, long terms. We have a couple of buildings. We have a vehicle. If we go and we project out for the next 6 years, is that enough? Is that enough in your opinion as a selectman?
Let's start with that. I mean, if that's the minimum, let's try it. Next year, if it's not the right number, we can say, let's go out 10, and we need another 4 years. It's just a starting point.
I love that. So you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna get done until we
Start there.
start.
And
6 years.
6 years is long enough anyway that we're gonna pick up any anticipated projects, and if somebody says, oh, I need to do this thing next year, you can push back and say, look, you were supposed to give us a 6-year plan, it's never shown up on your plan. How is it so urgent that it needs to be done next year, right? Because it's like, it gives you a reason to push back on some of the stuff that people are gonna come up with.
The next time,
See, for the first go-around, I'm not sure we want people to tell us what they have today. I mean,
Right.
we want input. So for the first go-around, I would say, tell us what you're thinking about what you need over the next 6 years. And then maybe next year we have to say, give us an inventory of what you have, because I think we don't want to bog people down with too much work so we don't get anything.
right, if someone puts something down, that goes under review. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what they get. We have
Absolutely
a
correct.
budget, And we just want input, everything that we as a town feel we need.
Need, but that doesn't say what we have. I mean, and I'm not advocating we say what we have. I mean, at one point, we were talking about doing an inventory of all the file cabinets.
Right.
Well, I think that if we set the asset value high enough, say it's $5,000, I don't think we have that many things in town that are $5,000 or more.
That's true.
Right, that would rule out, I think, any of the computers, printers, filing
Desks,
cabinets,
desks,
chairs,
yep.
you know, that would, set that bar high enough so that we're talking, you will find out, you know, about hopefully all the bridges and, you know, all buildings and all vehicles and things like that, which isn't that long of a list, I don't think,
No, that's fine.
right?
But you don't want to get into the minutia.
Right, I think that if we, let's say we set that at $5,000 this year, we can adjust it next year, either higher or lower. We could say, oh, 5,000, that was way more stuff than we needed. Let's go to 25,000, or because we thought, oh, let's go down to 3,000, see what else we pick up.
Just asking, can the selectmen write a check for $5,000 or $4,999 if they need to for something?
We can write a check for almost any amount as long as we don't exceed the budget,
Okay,
the town budget.
so $5,000 will blow the budget?
Oh, I didn't say that. I'm saying, you didn't say that. You said, what can we write a check for?
Right, I said, can you write a check for $5,000 if you have to?
Yes.
Okay.
One thing we may want to consider is actually a lower limit on that, because basically you have a lot, we're a small town, we don't have a lot of large needs. But what may happen is we'll have a lot of $500,000 items that are needed. And that's something over, you know, the vastness of the communities that we're involved in may add up to some serious money. So we might want to look at something 500 or 1,000 possibly.
Well, we don't want to get into stuff that selectmen can purchase for the town on a regular basis. And exaggerated, but we don't want to put that many box of pencils in it.
Yeah, but it's
So-
also to give the selectmen an idea of what we may need to look forward to for a budget 5 years down the road. You know, say, okay, well, we have these departments looking, we have 7 departments looking for $1,000 apiece. We gotta think about this in the budget and how we're gonna approach this.
I'm thinking the number should be higher, but the size of the town we have, I think $5,000 at this point for this first swag is a reasonable number to put in the letter.
And if we're questioning it, or $5,000, what can we write? If we start getting requests for money like that, we opt for warrant articles.
Right.
I mean, the town is small enough that when you start spending 5,000, 6,000, 10,000, you want to make sure the town concurs.
Right.
But it's good for planning, you know it's coming, we just put it on as a warrant article and someone comes to it.
And that's what we're doing, we're collecting data so we can plan.
What about contracted services, such as the school and Wakefield?
It should be on there.
Well, those aren't capital. Those aren't capital. Are you saying that?
Well, there might be.
Are you saying that a capital expense by the school that's going to hit our taxes?
Yeah, what are their plans? They always have plans, but is there going to be a capital, they're going to rebuild the school in the Durham, for instance? What do they project that's going to cost?
And it'd be a good idea to send a letter to them, because
Yeah.
that is a major effect on everybody's budget.
And we have a school committee that handles that stuff, and we have reps on that committee.
But we can demand that information.
Yeah, but he's not answerable to us.
Is that we don't have the authority to send a letter now.
Hmm?
We don't have the authority to send a letter to the school.
Well, we have the authority to send a letter to the school board.
And ask them for a capital.
Any projection of capital expenditures that they see in the next 6 years.
According to RSA, they have to respond.
Yeah, school districts are listed.
Mhm.
And Wakefield
Yeah,
is.
they were- that was our red school district.
Yeah. Wakefield is on the same thing.
But it doesn't, that doesn't give us any, this would just be capital projects, not operating expense, which is the
Right.
vast majority of the
Yeah.
budget.
Now,
If they
for
want to
clar-
build a wing, they'll spoil it, things of that nature.
For clarification, we're talking about two things. There's a capital improvement program, and then there's an assets list or an inventory. Are you talking about two different things?
I think those are the same, those are part of the CIP.
Well, because the committees, we should say that in the letter, because the committees are they're gonna say, are you asking for a list of everything I have in my office, or are you asking for projections? Which if you read this, it says, it's a 6-year schedule of projects and expenses required to construct or purchase needed capital facilities and/or equipment consistent with the continued needs, growth, and development of the town. And it's connected to the master plan.
So it's what do you need? Not what do you have.
Exactly.
Well, unfortunately, we spend a bunch on maintenance, right? That'd be like saying, we don't care what roads we've got, just tell me what roads you want to build, right, in the next 6 years. I mean, that becomes sort of meaningless. We need to have, in order to do the projections, we're going to need to understand what we've got and what the condition of those assets are. It helps make the case for the selectmen to figure out, you know, when does this need to be replaced? Why are we purchasing a truck? Well, we're replacing a truck, right? I mean, if you don't know you have the truck already, you know, it's hard to understand the context. So I don't think we need, I think to your point, we don't need people to itemize their office, right? I think the $5,000 is a good place to start. If you've got an asset that's $5,000, you put it on the list. And maybe we ask for the condition of it, you know, good, average, whatever. You know.
So we're gonna ask for needs about $5,000, and also are we gonna ask for a list of assets
Over 5,000.
over 5,000?
Why are we separating the computers? I mean, we have to buy a computer, I think, soon. I mean, that's less than 5,000, but it's an expenditure.
It's $600 for the whole system.
From an accounting perspective, usually what happens is that those things, you know, a department will have that expense every year. They're going to replace, you know, 1 or 2 computers every year, and it just shows up on, I mean, it's like, what was their line item last year? It was $1,000. I'll give them another 1,000 this year.
No, I understand.
Right, that's sort of the small things, the pencils and computers and filing cabinets and printers and things like that. They, even if it is a piece of capital,
It's listed and it's tallied, so.
and they're frequently, the lifetime of those things often is short enough that they show up on a regular basis on the budget. There's no surprises there, right? CIP is all about planning for the big things and not the everyday expenses.
Does it start with the current year, or does it start with 1 year out? I read someplace where it doesn't even start with the current year, but
I think that I don't remember where I read it. I think it was saying basically, we would be preparing
15 and out?
a document so that when your next budget could be informed by it, right? So this would be for starting 2015 would be the expenditures we'd be looking at.
Okay, step 1, send the letters out to get the information.
Yeah, I don't think that includes the school board or Wakefield at this point.
The one thing that's just popped in my head, as far as schools, be similar to fire and police, those are hired services. They're not actually capital property of the town. We may not have the authority, we may be going, you know, beyond the offices of the RSA as far as our authority to demand information from them. That's one thing that just popped in my head I wanted to bring up when we're talking about the schools and possibly sending a letter to them that fall under the same idea as police and fire. Those are hired services. They're not an actual capital property of the state.
I believe on the fire services, et cetera, police, the dump, but the schools back to that, we're leaving them off, we're putting them on.
I guess I wouldn't put them on this year. If we can get the town to do its part, right?
Yeah,
I'd call that a success.
let's do that.
And
Now,
I don't know if it's policy or law or just what they've done in the past, but I think a lot of times the school district has put as warrant articles their capital improvement things. Certainly the school renovation, the football field AstroTurf, right? They're putting away $100,000 a year, you know, for maintenance on that, right? And those are warrant articles that we get to vote on, right?
right.
So it might be that it doesn't really affect, I mean, those pass, you guys have to write a check for them, but
Good job.
it doesn't come out of our, well, I guess but it won't be.
But we can't plan for it. I mean,
Right.
that's the bottom line. You really can't plan for it. If it passes as the warrant article, we pay the bill.
Right.
Going for us.
Yeah.
All right, we have this list of,
You're not going to send Wakefield one either, are you?
No.
Okay, we're going to do it internally first.
yes, We have the list of everybody, Judge?
Yes, I've also added the emergency management according to
Yes.
Rich, and also the archivist.
Yes, okay. So,
We've got a health, who's Dr. March, health officer.
we have a health officer?
Certainly do.
Don't we have
I saw you had a newsletter. Did we get everyone that's on the newsletter, that's listed in the newsletter? Didn't I see you had a newsletter in your hand a few minutes ago? Did you check the list?
Yeah.
We got everybody?
That's
Okay.
where I came up with the archivist.
Okay, good.
Did you come up with the health officer?
The health office,
You might,
gives
you want,
us a report.
you might want to build a hospital, you never know.
Yeah, he might need a $6,000
Dr.
digital thermometer.
Marsh,
No,
Marsh.
Yeah.
is it Marsh now? It was the dentist.
Well,
That's
that could
right.
also,
It's Dr.
it's
Marsh
Marsh.
now. Okay.
that could also pertain to spraying for mosquitoes for the public good. That would be under the auspices.
Down to the archivist, right,
Hey,
Judge?
we're tough, we don't spray.
How about-
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay, last call.
No, your skin's too thick for a mosquito to get to you
Does-
anyway, Dick. You got
Does
that.
somebody here want the health officer on this list?
What harm will it be?
What about the?
I'm not saying anything that may potentially be an expense.
Well, put him on, Judge, health officer.
I mean, give them the opportunity that way to say he had something planned.
Yeah, he could say,
No,
he could
give
say,
his own back of,
That's it.
yeah.
What about the
Test
welfare
beds.
officer?
For what?
Isn't there a welfare,
Since it's selectmen.
No, we have a welfare director.
welfare director? I know she has,
She at the bottom?
she gets
Yeah.
funding for.
Girls.
Well, the selectmen are responsible,
But
though.
she's the director, she's on the board just like assessor clerk.
Yeah, you are the assessors.
And we are the welfare if you want to do it that, but we're sending letters to them. Send letters.
Spray and pray. Did you add them?
Yes, sir.
Health officer and welfare director. Okay, we have a list. If you're not on it, you're not getting it. The next is the letter. The letter will have a, according to, and we put this warrant, should we just put the number of a warrant on, the RSA? Or we want to just spell out?
Well, you might want to put the RSA, but remember, the town voted this in at a town meeting.
Right,
So that's where the planning board got its authority to do this. The
right,
town has authorized it, so it's not like the planning board is making this up and want it.
right.
So remind them of that, I would think.
So the town is authorized,
A couple of years ago, they voted this in.
No, it's not authorized, it's required. I mean, we're,
But they got the blessing of the town, and the town meeting to do this.
yeah, the town gets to get mad at us if we don't do it.
I mean, we don't want to beat somebody over the head, you know, put it in pursuant to RSA 674:08, whatever.
Trying to do the wording.
yes.
That
So
the
we wanna
planning board
leave
is
it
formally
at that.
requesting this information. You know, something, we don't want to beat somebody over the head with it, but formally requesting this information and the guidelines for that.
So we probably wouldn't hurt to figure out what year we did that. The RSA that we that the warrant article that made us have to do CIP, that the town voted on 674:5. So presumably, 4 years ago, we had a warrant article that said we ought to, that authorized this.
I think it's going to go more than that. It's been a while.
I'd say it's more like 8 or 10 years.
There you go.
There's plenty of them, there's a bunch of slackers that haven't done this so far. Wait, that's us.
This is the first time I've ever done.
Yes.
I think you got to make it simple the first time, right? Otherwise, you're just not going to get the input you're looking for.
So we're gonna, per RSA here, we're gonna even mention the warrant article if it's that old? Or should we
No, it's
do the
relevant.
research to find out what year that was and
As required.
per warrant article?
Yeah, what do we-
It would still be in effect anyways. If
Well, yeah.
It's not rescinded.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, so it's still in effect.
I think it should be included, so it's not like the planning board just thought of this. I mean, we're required to do this by the town people, so.
may have been a long time coming, but
Right.
the time is now.
So used to being in front of my computer. So used to being in
Yeah.
front of the computer. Yeah.
Warrant articles, number.
I'll get you, I don't have to keep.
All right,
We have
that's
all-
all right.
I'll get you the year that it passed.
So pursuant RSA 674:5 and warrant article TBD. Please submit to the planning board.
Well, we should put planning board's form requesting.
Planning board is requesting.
Formal requesting, make sure that, you have one understanding, as I'm saying, that you have to respond to this, you can't blow us off on one. That I did with Jerry for quite a while, didn't get any information back, requesting. So we put it in formal writing, we were formally requesting that you provide this information for our discretion.
Well, you gotta make it doable.
Yes, oh, absolutely, yes.
Just make it clear the,
Well, that's why we put in the guidelines, 5,000.
Or whatever it's gonna be, right, doable. Because we
And
don't
a
pay,
timeline.
see, we don't pay a lot of these commissions a lot of money.
Right.
Timeline.
So you guys are the ones that get paid money, right?
That's right, so we're looking for cooperation.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, timeline would be essential, making sure.
Yes, we should have a due
Well,
date.
that's the slicer right there. I mean, we're gonna request the information by a certain date. Should anything not be in by that certain date, it's safe to continue forward and understand that they have no input in capital
I
improvement.
mean, even if they, we have no request for that.
I mean, if you get this letter, Jim, and you really have nothing going on with it,
I would
you know-
definitely send you back a letter saying that.
well, you would, yes.
I would, because that's a formal request, you
Without
have
a
to
doubt.
respond back to it in some way, yes, no, or maybe.
All right.
so each department's gonna be slightly different how we're requesting it. It's like the assessor. I mean, what are we asking her to identify?
We don't know.
That's, we're gonna get those questions. That's what I'm saying. How do we do that if each department is so different?
I think we have to define what capital is, and we want capital assets that are worth more than this, and what their condition is, and we want, and what, maintenance or new purchases that you anticipate needing to do that are more than $5,000 in the next 6 years,
Write that down.
Can you articulate that in a paragraph?
maybe.
You just did.
Yeah.
Now, should we state that if we, the CIP, if we're gonna set up the document itself in a 5, 10, 20-year format? should
Just
we
get
be
data
requesting
right.
that
Just
same-
asking for data.
Yeah, but should we request
And
the
we're gonna
data in
come
that
here-
timeline? If we're gonna be structuring it in that timeline?
We're asking for data for over the next 6 years. What do you got? What do you anticipate needing? And we'll put it in the form of letter, just like Rob said at the moment ago. Rob, you want to volunteer to write the letter
Sure,
for us swag?
sure. I will,
I'd appreciate that. Would the board appreciate that?
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
I'll take a stab at it. Maybe George can help me out.
That'd be great. Because we as a board basically know what information we're looking for. So,
Yeah, I'll try to track down a good crisp definition for what a capital asset is, capital assets are, and just try to put some meat on the bone so that people will know what we're talking about.
and if you communicate that to George, he'll send us a copy.
Yeah, let's talk due date. We start our budget process end of October. So when do you need the input?
Okay,
for this?
we said that's the line, we need a due date. You start the end of October.
We'll put our letters out to the various departments in October, so that we can start pulling the budget. We try not to do it in December, so we do November and then early January.
Right.
put our letters out end of October.
So you'll need this information by,
November, December, latest.
well, if you need
But-
it by November, we need it sooner than that.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. August, by the end of August. So we'll be able to talk about it at our September meeting.
We're looking at not sending up the letter till July unless we call a special meeting to discuss format.
That's
Is that
the end of August, that's
short? That's short notice.
70 days, that's,
But by the time we actually send it out, if Rob's going to compile the letter, he's going to bring it back to us to approve for distribution. That'll be next month. And you're talking just one more month to compile all the information. We may want to look at the end of September to actually receive this, so we get it to the selectmen in an appropriate amount of time. And we can go through it a little bit quicker once we compile the information, but get it gathered.
the further out we put the deadline, the staler this is gonna get on people's desks.
Yeah, that's true.
Do we need to approve the letter in the meeting, or is it sufficient for me to draft something and Rick to edit it and then send it out?
If
we can do that
decide to
between-
do it that way, absolutely.
Because then we get it out in the next, week or 10 days or something, instead of a month. If you feel comfortable with that, if you want to go to a meeting, that's fine too.
No,
Well, he's got
I'm
these
comfortable with that, as long as, when we get the letter and swag it out, we send it to everybody here. If we all have any input into the letter or whatever.
Yeah, email it out there, or even give us
Well,
something to respond to.
Well, we can't, legally, we can't deliberate
If we-
an email. So unfortunately, we can't, if we all want input on it, we need to do it at a meeting. So, and that's fine, we should, if that's the right thing, we should do that. If we're okay with, a designated person or people drafting it, and then, Rick as the chairman would be sending it out, or signing it at least, and reviewing it, that would be okay, we could do that between meetings. We just can't have a quorum on email discussing something.
Exactly.
And I want to raise the question of what data are we going to get that will be helping us with our 2015 budget? Because if it's major, it's going to be a warrant article, and we would be talking about it by now.
Right.
So,
I don't know what we're gonna get. That's why we're sending this letter out, to see what's out there.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I suggest a motion on the basis of the letter?
Yes.
No.
I would move to have Rob compile a letter under our guidelines and submit it to Rick for distribution.
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion? Oh, sorry. Opposed? Motion carries. We've already had the discussion.
Now, can we review just some of the key points in the letter? Like the limits are going to be 5,000? The due date's going to be,
What's our August meeting date? It's one of the comments.
just so you're good to put some specifics, right? So we agree on, is the 5,000 the limit? He's going to define capital,
Yes.
and we need the input by a certain date.
21st is the third, I'm sorry, the second, 21st is the second, third Thursday of August.
Is that what you're saying?
Are we on third Thursday now?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that'd be the 21st of August.
So we want to have it on the table, the 21st. Right?
It's close to 60 days to compile it, and most everybody should know what they need pretty much immediately. Departments, and I knew if I needed to spend $5,000 pretty damn quickly.
Do we want to have it the 14th? So we can have it on the table the 21st, or? I said, why not? I mean, it's a date out there, we might have something to work with.
Okay, so August 14th, and then we would be reviewing it on the 21st.
What we got?
See what we got,
Yeah.
and then we can follow up if we need to with people that didn't respond or
Yes.
responded but we don't understand or whatever. Okay.
Yes, so we'll look forward to that meeting. We should have data here so we can start the job.
So you're gonna track down when we authorized CIP? Email it to me?
Before I go home tonight.
Warrant article, TBD.
Okay.
Well, yep, before I go home tonight.
Awesome.
Right. Pretty good. Okay. Okay, so we identified people, groups responsible for assets that affect CIP. We're gonna put a letter together and get it out requesting the data. Next new business, discussion of attorney consultation regarding proposed amending of the zoning ordinance. Contacted the attorney. She took the zoning ordinances and went through it with recommended amendments. She categorized it and sorted it out, and we have copies of that. And I'm suggesting, I'd like to,
You have copies or who,
us, the planning board.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't
So
seen
you
it.
didn't get it yet.
Oh, we, as the
We're
chairman.
hiding it from you.
Okay, the chairman is.
We're gonna pull the cover off of this.
Okay. This, we didn't see it.
Okay, it's 60 pages.
Yep.
I don't even want to look at it tonight. I want everybody to take it home and look at it. We're requesting that she comes here for the next meeting in July. And by us taking these 60 pages home and look it over, we may have half a chance of sounding intelligent and understanding what we like and what we don't like, and what we need to do with our zoning ordinance. So we're going to give those out tonight for everybody to study and read. Now, we can, in between now and July, have another meeting just on these zoning ordinances, and once we've all looked at them for some period of time, come back here, not a long meeting, but just kind of go over any things that we as a group want to get involved with. And then we'll be even more prepared, and we'll be able to utilize her time better after the meeting. Or we can go in cold. So I'm open.
I think we should get prepared. If we're going to spend that kind of money to have her sit here, we should be prepared. So I think we should meet before and
Right.
get together on what we're going to talk about.
Available next week and the week after. So 1 week from today or 2 weeks. Is everybody open for any of those dates?
Thursday.
What are the
So it would be June 26th or July 3rd.
I'm available 3:30, 6:30 or later.
June 26th.
Yeah, June 26th.
Yes.
That works for me. I can do the 26th.
Okay, then we're going to blow the cover off this and give everybody a copy.
So what's the next meeting?
June 26th,
Okay, June 26th.
So 1 week from
we're going to meet here
Yeah.
strictly to discuss what we see in the zoning ordinance in preparation for Laura on the July meeting.
Do we have that in electronic form that can be emailed?
Yes. Can we do that? Can we email
Yes, we just can't discuss, we
Can't discuss.
we don't want anyone responding to it,
Right.
right? It's that response and then getting into a discussion on email that we can't do.
Do you have hard copies, George?
Right here. Should I distribute them?
Yes.
Information versus deliberation.
If anybody wants electronic copy requested from George and your own.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to add that a full document is not here. I would put the pages of the zoning ordinance that actually where she had changes. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Oh,
My glasses, small font.
A little bit of light.
Your glasses.
looks better on the screen.
That's why I like the electronic copy.
Don't worry, Dave.
It's
I'll
easy.
find them. It's less than you.
All right, moving on, old business. We don't need a motion for that meeting on the 26th, right?
No, you can call it.
You as chairman can just call me.
Okay, we did that. 26th, 6:30, right here. McDonald's, in that spot. If they out, go next door. There's no bugs, just sit outside. Old business, we have a discussion to amend the zoning ordinance.
We just did that, didn't we?
That's connected. Review amended rules and procedure. That was something you had from last week.
So I think that there were previous changes that were, at last meeting, we were gonna like approve, but then we decided to make more changes, so we decided to hold off. I believe George sent this out more than 10 days ago.
Yes.
So we just had this, so according to our rules of procedure, if we choose to, we can adopt all of these changes to the rules of procedure. If we don't want to, then, or want to make further changes, we can. And once we've adopted it, then it would get, George would get it certified and send it out to whoever gets copies of our rules of procedure. So, I'm sorry, George, could you point out, the red doesn't show up very well. Could you point out to us where we're seeing changes?
Yes. On the first page, number 3, in the last sentence of 3.1.
When the office of chair or vice chair is vacant,
Yes.
okay,
And should I continue on?
yes.
The next one is that after RSA 673 of 3.2, so look at 3.2, and it's on the first page, and where it has in bold print RSA 673, immediately after that, when a member position becomes vacant.
Yes.
That is included in there, and it stops at that sentence. And 3.5,
3.5
which is on the
is
second
added
page.
completely, correct?
Yes, that whole thing was added. And as Mr. Collins previously pointed out, originally Appendix S, which is on the last 2 pages, that's what was originally presented for those previous things that we just talked about. Now, along with this, in Appendix S, of course, there were some editing that went on with the previous appendices, for instance, expunging references to SRPC, those kinds of things.
Right. Okay, so it's as it was, with the exception of the new ones that were in the last meeting, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I don't think we changed any of the previous changes at the last meeting.
Everybody know what's going on with this?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the proposed changes to the rules of procedure.
Second. All in favor? Or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Old business CIP, we beat the heck out of that.
You repeat that up pretty good.
Down to member comments.
I just want to announce that there is a Stratford Regional Planning Commission meeting tomorrow. You're all invited. It starts at 9 a.m. and it's in Rochester Community Center.
They serve lunch.
It's usually a light breakfast,
Oh,
9 a.m.
all right. Thank you.
Very light.
The Board of Selectmen would like an opinion on a,
Fireworks in town?
no, on a business, a home business that seems to be just a retail business out of their home. Is that allowed by our zoning, in your opinion, as a home business?
Retailing what? Just curious.
Retailing stuff. There's nothing obscene or anything like that. I don't want to
No
identify.
hazard, no hazardous
No,
material,
no,
everything.
no, I don't want to be too specific and identify the people.
But there's no special circumstances or that.
What about, is there any agricultural aspects to it?
Homestead?
Permanent or temporary?
Does it look like a house?
Yeah, it's a house.
Or
Does it
was
look like a house?
Yes, it looks like a house.
What
Have
about
a sign that's bigger than 6 square feet?
Yeah,
Is there excessive traffic?
yeah. Therefore,
It's fine.
I thought so too.
Our customers going to visit this venue?
Pardon me?
Our customers going to visit this venue?
I'm sure they are.
They're going to buy from
Yeah.
a venue.
Yeah.
She's not just warehousing.
No, selling, retail.
So people are gonna drive up, they're gonna park, they're gonna walk in, they're gonna
Yeah,
walk out with something under their arm,
yeah,
put it in their car and drive away.
yeah.
I think you have to do a site plan review for that.
You tell me, that's why I'm asking, because when I read the zoning, it looked like it was a home business, but you were looking for input.
Yeah, but if you have people going in, you have to have off-the-street parking.
Yes, the parking would be an issue.
And there's a sign, there has to be a sign to meet the requirements of the zoning.
Not to mention, view for access and egress.
So I'll need some help with our zoning, where we,
Our zoning doesn't say anything about site plan review for that.
So,
And our CEO, our zoning does say things like sightlines and off-street parking, and this code enforcement officer should enforce those.
yeah, that's adequate.
Right, so. If you had a complaint,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Ba-
a home-based business.
was the complaint because somebody had a business, or was
Yeah.
the complaint because there was traffic, or?
Business.
No, okay,
But that's what our zoning supports.
yes,
That's the way I read it.
yes.
So it's home based.
We don't want it next door anymore.
Hmm?
See, we don't want it next door. It's okay when it's down the road, but when it's next door, then we say, wait a minute, we don't want this business. So it's okay. It looks like our zoning supports it. That's the way I read it. But we just want
If
to,
if people don't like it, we can change the zoning.
that's what I say. We voted in a couple of years ago, and that's what we voted in.
We could go over it at great length,
I remember.
numerous times.
They don't have more than 4 employees.
Definitely do not.
And that passed for warrant article.
Yes.
Zoning change.
All the zoning changes are go on ballot.
Please. I knew it was the police.
please,
10 minutes to 8. It's predictable. It's predictable.
He caught us.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thumbs up, I'm all set and good to go.
Thank you.
Should we sign off on your list?
Hmm?
Should we sign off on your call list that you did come in?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you.
We're going out live, so Ken can see you if he's watching.
Oh, good. Take 15 pounds, right?
Be careful out there. Okay, next item from the selectmen. The cemetery trustees put a letter out to some property owners to see if they would be interested in selling the town some land. And we got a response. Some woman, Mrs. Hunter, over on Lightford Road, met with the selectmen and the cemetery trustees and is willing to sell the town a couple, 3-4 acres for a cemetery. So that's moving forward because we have to work with the planning board, because you folks have to bless it as an acquisition, that it's consistent with where the town wants to go. But at the same time, she said, by the way, I have 250 additional acres that I would like to sell to the town. So the selectmen thought it would be good to form a little committee, get representation from the town, and the planning board and the heritage commission and the other commissions, to see if a purchase like this would be consistent with our master plan, to see if it's where the town would want to go. So I'm here asking the planning board for a volunteer to work with this committee to see if this is the direction the town wants to go, and is it consistent with the purchase, with our master plan.
What road is this on?
Lyford.
Oh, I,
It's all like,
So what kind of area, is it near the current cemetery, is it?
Oh, no, it's not. It is, you know where you come in Lyford Road from 109 to your end?
Yep.
You go by that big field on the left,
Yes.
yeah.
past there you hit the
Right
woods.
across from the fire hall
Past there you hit the woods on the left, all that woods, walk back to the
there. All
railroad,
that wood there.
back to the railroad track.
Wow.
So the cemetery is separate?
Yeah, the cemetery, we can, if it makes sense, because we've got a couple of other offers, the Browns have offered the town some land to be used as a cemetery. So we're looking at that, we're looking at this land, and there's one other parcel that we're investigating. But that's independent of the acreage.
Does the acreage include that big field back?
Yes, it goes all the way back past the Hackett Cemetery, and the cellar holes, and the old governor's road runs all the way back to the railroad tracks.
Wow.
It's wooded, it's fields, it's a big parcel.
When you should mention that purchase, in a couple weeks, you'll be receiving a letter. Just joking.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll kind of,
Well,
for
yeah, I understand.
capital improvement.
So we need a volunteer from the planning board to work in this committee to see. And the first goal is it consistent with our master plan? Do we want to do something like this based upon our master plan? So,
I'm willing to volunteer.
I was going to say, how many do we need?
one from this committee?
We're gonna have multiple. So,
Well, it would be a public meeting. so-
Yes.
when would we need to be held?
I have no idea. The committee hasn't, we're just forming it now. We're just going to the committees, like planning board, heritage committee, conservation, asking for representation. There is no, this woman is not in any hurry to do this transaction. She just said, by the way, folks, I'm doing some planning, long-range planning, and I'd be interested in making this happen if the town would be interested. So there is no hurry on this. It's just, what does the town want to do? Is it consistent with where we want to go?
These meetings will be open?
Oh, yes.
When they're,
They'll be advertised and posted and all that stuff.
you want to sit in them?
Sure. Okay.
We'll put Rob's name on it,
Okay.
and with any luck, we'll have other planning board members there when these happen, regardless.
Yeah, this is not the cemetery, this is the acreage.
So what would you anticipate the land, if the town purchased the land, what would you think the town would do with it?
If I was brainstorming, what does the town need in 50 years? I mean, the next 10 years, we get a handle on. But let's jump ahead 50 years.
We could host the Olympics there.
We could. We could, golf course.
Airport.
We could do a lot of things in 50 years. What is the town? And if we don't want to do that, we don't want to do it. I mean, in 50 years, do we need a school? In 50 years, do we need a new town hall? Do we need a fire department? Do we need a police department? I don't know, 50 years is a long time. And the only land we own now is right here. So, I mean, that's my thoughts, but again, it's the town has to decide what they want to do with stuff like this. But first, is it consistent with our master plan?
Right.
I believe it is as far as purchase of property for future use. I believe it is mentioned in the master plan.
Well, I don't know, I haven't read it, but I will be reading it, I'm sure.
Is the owner asking anything in particular from the sale?
Yes, it's a very reasonable price, but she wants it to be used for municipal purposes. She doesn't want the selectmen to have any option to sell it off in the future because the town needs money.
So you need an easement or something?
Well, she doesn't want an easement. She wants she wants to sell it to the town.
With a bunch of restrictions.
But there
With
are
a bunch of restrictions, like open to everybody's use, no restrictions on it whatsoever with respect to what you can do. You can hunt, you can fish, you can walk, you can ride horses. She just doesn't want it sold as a development because the town needs money in the future.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
That's her, these are her restrictions.
Is the land in current use right now?
Yeah. $600 tax bill. Maybe that's high. So we don't impact the tax bill much, but again, it's something that I think we'll have to talk about in a couple.
well, I think a lot of people will be interested in talking about that.
It could be
So
used.
there's no buildings on this lot now?
Raw.
No building?
How many acres again?
About 250.
Taxable $600.
How much wetlands?
There's a little bit of wetland, but most of it's high. Most of it's very nice. Big field out back.
I've been through there, Dick. It's a nice area. It could be used for a lot of things that benefit the town.
Gets wet down by the Governor's Road. The old Governor's Road runs through there.
Yeah.
Down there, it gets a little spongy, and there's some beavers back there. But other than that, I mean, the selectmen and the cemetery trustees did some test pits for the cemetery on close to Lightford Road, because there's some nice flat land in there, just east of the old fire pond. There's a little fire pond there that dries up, so there's a nice little flat spot in there. We went in there and did 2 or 3 test pits. Ed did. And no surprises, typical New England woods where you no ledge. I mean, you get some big rocks.
Sand.
Well, not sand. We don't have sand. You got typical big rocks for about 3 feet, and then you got into some smaller material that Ed said was very typical for that depth, and he didn't expect to see anything beyond that. So he did 3 of them. So that's what we found. We did a bunch of other test pits. There was a field back in there. If you drive down there, there's a little dirt road, there's a field in the back, and that looks like that might have been filled. We want to stay away from that. There was some,
Is that Hunter plus another name?
I don't know.
Okay.
We talked to Mrs. Hunter.
Do you have the lot number of that land? Just on top of your...
Actually,
Yeah,
it's
easy.
I think our rules of procedure say that George has to have the map and lot number. and we
Yes, it
discuss.
does.
Well, this is just, this is just information.
Right. Nothing's been done yet.
All right, so Rob's the person.
Good news.
Absolutely.
Okay, back to member comments. Any comments?
They were my 2.
Okay,
Member comments.
meeting adjourned.
Okay, let me give you that stuff. Thank you.
Good work today, guys.
Excellent.
Jim, do you have something? Did you have any of this? Mine was back.